665 kilometers of rail. Opening January 2027. Kilometers. Same month. Different border. 665 kilometers opening the same month as a 4-kilometer crossing that 5 minutes ago took 3 hours. No other country in Southeast Asia is doing both simultaneously. Not Vietnam. Not Thailand. Not Indonesia. Not Singapore. One country. 2 projects. 1 month. And the race that 4 countries thought they were running is already over. Welcome to Shifted Perspective. This channel covers what is actually happening before the mainstream figures it out. Subscribe right now so you never miss what we uncover. Hit like if those 2 numbers already changed something in how you see January 2027. Drop one word, racing or winning. Tell me which word describes Malaysia right now. Let us get into the race. 4 countries. All of them building. All of them serious. All of them with real money, real contractors, real political commitment behind their rail ambitions. Let me go through each one honestly before I tell you why the race is already decided. Start with Vietnam. Because Vietnam's ambition is the most dramatic number in this entire comparison, and it needs to be understood clearly before it is dismissed. Vietnam's North-South high-speed railway spans approximately 1,541 kilometers connecting Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh City at a projected cost of $67.34 billion. 1,541 kilometers. That is more than twice the length of the entire ECRL. It will cut travel time between the 2 cities from 30 hours to just 8 hours. The ambition is genuine. The funding commitment from the Vietnamese government is real. The political will is documented. Vietnam's North-South HSR project will break ground by the end of 2026. Breaking ground. Not opening. Not operating. Breaking ground. Vietnam's high-speed railway sections are expected to break ground in 2027 with the full project completing by 2035 at speeds of 350 kilometers per hour. The most ambitious rail project in Southeast Asian history will not carry its first passenger until 2035 at the earliest. And the construction complexity of 1,541 kilometers across Vietnam's varied terrain, including the Central Highlands, coastal floodplains, and the urban density of both Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, means that 2035 is an optimistic projection rather than a conservative one. Vietnam is also accelerating the Hanoi to Quang Ninh high-speed railway, set to begin construction on April 12, 2026 with a planned completion date of 2028. This shorter northern corridor is Vietnam's near-term deliverable, the project that proves the country can execute before the North-South giant reaches completion. It is real progress. But it is a regional connector, not the transformative national spine that the North-South project represents. Vietnam has the vision. Vietnam has the funding commitment. Vietnam does not have the operating railway. In January 2027, Vietnam will be breaking ground on its most important project while Malaysia is opening its most important one. Thailand next. Because Thailand's HSR story is the one that has been most consistently described as imminent for the longest time and has most consistently not yet arrived. Thailand's Bangkok to Nakhon Ratchasima high-speed rail covers 250.77 kilometers at a budget of 179 billion baht, approximately $5 billion. This is the first phase of a larger ambition connecting Bangkok through Nakhon Ratchasima to Nong Khai on the Laos border, and through Laos to Kunming in China as part of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. The China-Laos-Thailand high-speed rail network will reduce travel time between Vientiane and Bangkok to just 4 hours compared to the current journey time of 10 hours by car. The Bangkok to Nakhon Ratchasima section has been under construction in various forms since 2017. The project has faced land acquisition delays, contractor disputes, scope changes, and funding revisions across multiple administrations. The Thai-Chinese high-speed corridor is targeting operations around 2030. 2030, that is 4 years after January 2027. In the time between Malaysia's January 2027 openings and Thailand's 2030 target, Malaysia will have run 3 full years of ECRL and RTS Link operations, accumulating freight revenue, passenger data, property market effects and cross-border economic integration that compounds every month. Thailand is building something real. The cross-border connectivity to Laos and through Laos to China is a genuinely significant strategic vision for Southeast Asian logistics. But the delivery timeline puts Thailand firmly in the building category while Malaysia is already in the opening category. Indonesia. And this is where intellectual honesty requires something that the Malaysia-focused framing of this video might tempt you to skip. Indonesia built Southeast Asia's first high-speed railway. Indonesia's fully operational Whoosh Jakarta to Bandung high-speed rail runs at 350 km per hour, the fastest operating train in Southeast Asia. It opened in October 2023. It runs between two of Indonesia's most economically significant cities. It is real. It is operating. It is carrying passengers right now. Indonesia did something that no other Southeast Asian nation had ever done before, and it did it first. The Whoosh is 282 kilometers. It connects Jakarta to Bandung in approximately 45 minutes. There are discussions around future Jakarta to Surabaya extensions that would extend the network significantly. Indonesia is exploring future network extensions beyond the Jakarta-Bandung corridor. The ambition exists. The technology has been proven. The extension timeline is not yet confirmed with the same specificity as Malaysia's January 2027 dates. But here is the honest comparison. The Whoosh connects two cities on the same island, Java. It does not cross a national border. It does not connect two coastlines. It does not serve as a freight land bridge between two ocean bodies. It is a high-speed passenger connection between two major cities, a genuine achievement, and it does not do what the ECRL and the RTS Link do simultaneously in January 2027. Indonesia won the First Mover Trophy for Southeast Asian high-speed rail. Malaysia is winning the Strategic Infrastructure Trophy for Southeast Asian economic connectivity. Singapore. The smallest country in this comparison and the one with the most direct stake in Malaysia's January 2027 moment. Singapore does not have a domestic high-speed rail network. Its geography makes one unnecessary. The entire country is smaller than many individual MRT lines in other nations. What Singapore has is the RTS Link. 4 kilometers. Woodlands North to Bukit Cagar. Opening January 1, 2027. Co-located immigration clearance. 10,000 passengers per hour in each direction. The most consequential 4 kilometers of rail in Southeast Asia, opening in the same month as the most consequential 665 kilometers. Singapore is also in discussions about the revival of the Kuala Lumpur to Singapore high-speed rail, the project that was cancelled in 2021 and that both governments have since signaled renewed interest in exploring. The planned project was designed to create a dedicated high-speed connection between Malaysia's capital and Singapore, dramatically reducing travel time between the two cities. If that project is eventually revived and built, it will be the most significant bilateral infrastructure project in Southeast Asian history. But it is a discussion in 2026. The RTS Link is an opening in 2027. And then there is Malaysia. And here is where the race comparison stops being a comparison and starts being a verdict. Malaysia's East Coast Rail Link covers 665 kilometers at a budget of Rm 50.27 billion. 665 kilometers of standard gauge double-track electrified railway connecting Kota Baru on the South China Sea coast to Gombak in Selangor, the gateway to Kuala Lumpur. 20 stations. 11 6-carriage electric multiple-unit passenger trains running at up to 160 kilometers per hour. 12 electric freight locomotives. A revenue model where 70% of income comes from freight, making the ECRL not primarily a passenger train but a logistics corridor connecting two coastlines. The ECRL's main track from Kota Baru to Gombak was physically completed ahead of schedule in March 2026. 94% construction completion confirmed as of May 2026. Testing and commissioning underway. Opening confirmed for January 2027. The RTS Link. 4 kilometers. Bukit Cagar to Woodlands North. 5 minutes. 10,000 passengers per hour in each direction at peak frequency. Co-located customs, immigration and quarantine clearance at both stations. System integration testing confirmed on schedule. Cost stable with no contractor revision requests. Opening confirmed January 1, 2027. 2 projects. Same month. The ECRL's land bridge connecting Port Klang on the Strait of Malacca to Kuantan Port on the South China Sea, cutting international shipping time by up to 30 hours. The RTS Link connecting the JSSEZ's 5% corporate tax zone to Singapore's financial and corporate infrastructure in 5 minutes. Both activating simultaneously in January 2027. Now put that next to the competition. Vietnam breaking ground on 1,541 kilometers targeting 2035. Thailand constructing 250 kilometers targeting 2030. Indonesia operating 282 kilometers on a single island without cross-border or freight dimensions. Singapore opening 4 kilometers jointly with Malaysia. The race was about who would deliver first. Who would open operating rail infrastructure that changes the economic geometry of the region. Not who announced the biggest number. Not who had the most ambitious plan. Who opened. Malaysia opens in January 2027. Twice. Here is what intellectual honesty requires before this video declares a winner. Malaysia winning the January 2027 moment does not mean Malaysia wins the long-term rail story of Southeast Asia. Vietnam's North-South HSR at 1,541 kilometers and $67.34 billion is a generational infrastructure investment that will reshape Vietnamese economic geography in ways that compound for decades. When it opens, whether in 2035 or 2037 or 2040, it will connect 100 million people along a single corridor in a way that has no equivalent in Malaysian geography. Thailand's connection to China through Laos is a strategic trade corridor that, when complete, will make Thailand a transit economy for belt and road freight in ways that serve a different but equally significant economic vision. The ECRL at 665 kilometers serving a country of 34 million people and the RTS Link at 4 kilometers serving a cross-border corridor of roughly 10 million people are appropriately scaled for Malaysia's geography and population. They are not competing with Vietnam's 1,541 kilometers on ambition. They are winning on execution. On delivery. On the specific, measurable, dated, confirmed outcome of opening operating infrastructure in January 2027 while the rest of the region is still building. Winning the execution race in January 2027 is not the same as winning the rail development race over the next 20 years. It is winning the right to compound. 3 years of operating ECRL freight revenue. 3 years of RTS Link cross-border economic data. 3 years of JSSEZ employment growth with Singapore connectivity. By the time Vietnam's first HSR passengers board in 2035, Malaysia will have been running the most consequential infrastructure opening in Southeast Asian history for 8 years. That head start matters. Compounded economic effects from infrastructure that is actually running produce returns that planning documents and groundbreaking ceremonies do not. For countries racing. Vietnam with the biggest ambition and a 2035 delivery date. Thailand with a cross-border China connection and a 2030 target. Indonesia with the fastest operating train and a single island corridor. Malaysia with 665 kilometers of freight and passenger rail and a 4-kilometer cross-border connection both opening in the same month 5 months from now. The race was never about who planned the most. It was about who delivered first. Who put operating rail infrastructure on the ground at a scale that changes regional economic geometry. Who opened the door rather than drawing the plans for it. In 2026 Malaysia joins Thailand, Singapore and Vietnam in a monumental development for the region. A milestone for regional power and prosperity as Southeast Asia advances toward a more connected future. But there is a difference between joining a movement and leading it. Between being in the race and winning it. January 2027 is 5 months away. The ECRL is 94% complete with its main track physically finished. The RTS Link is in system integration testing with bilateral government confirmation. The door is not being planned. It is being painted. It opens in January. 1 country. 2 projects. 1 month. The race that 4 countries entered has 1 winner. And the winner is already in the final lap. I want to hear from you. Are you watching from Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, or Singapore? Tell me in 1 sentence what your country's rail ambition means for you personally, as a commuter, as an investor, as someone who lives in this region and watches this story from the inside. And the big question, which country do you think builds the most consequential rail network in Southeast Asia over the next 20 years? Not who opens first. Who wins the long game. Drop it in the comments. Racing or winning, 1 word first. Subscribe right now because Shifted Perspective is tracking every week of this countdown to January 2027. I will see you in the next one.